to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's video I'm going to be talking about the Goodreads Choice Awards. So for those that don't know, Goodreads is a reading tracking website that you can use to look at books, track your reading, all that sort of stuff. And each year in November they launch their Choice Awards where they select 20 books from various different categories in the opening round for people to vote on as to which they think is the best book of the year. And as I say, there are a number of different categories, but I am going to be specifically talking about the romance and romantasy category because they are the two genres that I read the most of. I know that there is kind of mixed views about the Goodreads Choice Awards. To be honest, it's one of those things that I feel like it's just become a routine now to see what's going to be in the nominations. The selection for the nominations are often very, they're not very diverse selections, and it does focus on traditionally published books compared to independently published books. They don't usually get in the nominations very often. I don't know, obviously for romance and romantasy, a lot of popular books in that community are independently published books. I don't know so much about other genres. Obviously they do exist, but I don't know how popular they are. But that is not represented in the romance category, which, as I say, does make up a large point of the reading. And obviously Goodreads is open to everyone, so the people that are voting in the Goodreads Choice Awards might not necessarily be people that read romance books. They might have read like one or two off the list and therefore they vote for the one that they have read. And it's not necessarily a very representative of the genre as a whole. And the past, I think, 3 or 4 years, the winner of the romance category has been Emily Henry. And I'm not saying that that's not deserved, but it is very much the case of her books have been read the most and shelved the most. So therefore more people know about those books and therefore vote for her. And obviously with Emily Henry's books, they definitely, I think, borderline on romance and women's fiction. So people that don't necessarily normally read romance books may pick up an Emily Henry book. And I know for me personally, when I go through and look at the nominations, I do look at the other categories and I may have only read like 1 or 2 books from that category. So what I'm voting for is based on what I liked out of the books that I have read, but I haven't read the whole list, if that makes sense. So it's not like I'm voting based on what I think is the best from that list. I'm voting for what I think is the best out of the couple that I've read. And that's why I think that Emily Henry's books probably win a lot, because people that don't necessarily read romance may have picked up her books and therefore they are voting for that because they may have only read like 1 or 2 from the list. So it depends on your perception of things. I don't take too much stock in it, but I think it is a lot of fun and it is something that I've been looking at for the last, I've been on Goodreads for like 10 years. I think maybe actually 11 years, because I think I started creating my account in 2014, but at the end of the year. So I think it's 10 full years I've been on there, and it's just a little bit of fun. I like to see what's who's been selected and also sometimes get recommendations. But I wanted to talk about the authors that I think could be on the nominations list, and then we'll obviously have a look and see who is actually on the nominations list. So I'll start with the romance category and I'll look at theirs, and then I'll do the romantasy category. So for the romance category, I think Emily Henry will be on the list with Big Beautiful Life. Abby Jimenez, Elsie Silver, she had 2 books out this year, so I think at least one of them will be on the list. Anna Huang, I think she's again had 2 books out this year, King of Envy and The Defender, but I think it'll be King of Envy on the list because The Defender only came out last month, I think. so I don't think it'll have had enough time to make it to the list. Laurie Gilmore, I think she'll have at least one book on the list. She had 2 come out this year, The Gingerbread Bakery and The Strawberry Patch Pancake House. So I think one of those could be on the list. Lauren Asher, I think, could be on the list. Carly Fortune, she's definitely been on the list in previous years. Chloe Walsh, possibly. She had Releasing 10 come out at the beginning of the year, and I know Releasing 10 is pretty popular, so we'll see. Sangu Mandana, I think, could potentially be on this list. Her book, The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, which I have just read, I really enjoyed, and I've definitely heard a lot of people talking about it, so there's potential for that to be on the list. Ashley Poston, she has been on the list in previous years, I think, and she did have a new release this year. Maisie Eddings, potentially. I didn't like her new release, but that doesn't mean that she couldn't be on the list. BK Borison had 2 books come out this year as well, so there is potential for her to be on the list. She had First Time Caller and Good Spirits, but again, Good Spirits only came out recently, so I don't know if it would make it to the list, because although the list by Goodreads is released in November, I don't know how soon, like when they actually create the list, if that makes sense, because they could have made this list like in October or September. They could have had those picks on, and so anything, you know, going forward won't be on there, but who knows. And then I've got 2 more that I think could potentially be on there. Hannah Bonham Young and Tessa Bailey. They both had releases this year. I think Tessa Bailey might have had 2 releases. And as I say, this is the opening round. So initially there are going to be 20 books on this list. And then the second round, or the final round, is going to then whittle it down to 10. And then people can vote from those 10 to select the winner. In previous years, they used to have, I think they used to have 3 rounds where you could like write in nominations, but they have changed it. So opening round is now live, and it is going to be live for 12 days, 12 hours and 6 minutes. So then we will have the final round where we can vote. So I'm going to load it up on my phone here, and we're going to have a look at the romance list, and then we'll look at the romantasy list. So loading up the romance list, let's just have a quick look here. So on the romance list, we have Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn, which I am quite surprised about. Wasn't quite expecting her book to be on here. I'm not sure if she's been on the list in previous years, but I am happy to see her. I haven't read this one yet. Wildside by Elsie Silver. I did think that Elsie Silver would be on here. Again, I haven't read this one yet, but I do have it on my TBR. The Favourites by Elaine Fargo is a bit of a surprise to see on this list, because I wouldn't necessarily classify this as a romance. I would say it's more fiction with a romantic subplot. I don't know if I would call it a romance, so I am surprised to see it on this list, but I did enjoy it. Great Big Beautiful Life, obviously I imagine that this is the one that's going to win, if I'm being honest. I will be very surprised if it doesn't win. I don't think I would necessarily vote for this one, because I think there might be other ones on this list that I've liked more, but it was a good read. I did enjoy it. The Gingerbread Bakery by Laurie Gilmore. I haven't read this one yet, but I do have it on my TBR, and I'm not surprised to see it on this list. Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Again, I thought she would be on this list, and I did enjoy this one, but it's not my favourite from her. Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I'm again surprised to see this one on this list, because I don't know how popular this one has been, if I'm being honest. I do have this one on my TBR, but I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it, so I'm surprised to see it, but you know, I can't comment because I haven't read it, but I did really enjoy book 1 in this series. Spiral by Bel Cabra, I am surprised to see that on this list also, not because I didn't love it, because I did love it, I gave it 5 stars, but I, again, haven't heard anyone talk about this book, so I'm surprised to see it on this list, if I'm being honest. I don't know how popular it is with the masses. I can't imagine it will probably get through to the final round, but we shall see. Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I did really enjoy this one. I gave it 5 stars. It was my first 5-star read from Ali Hazelwood, so not surprised to see this one on this list. I didn't actually mention, oh no, I did mention Ali Hazelwood, I think I mentioned her. I had her on my list, but I'm not sure if I did actually mention her, but not surprised to see that one. King of Envy by Anna Hong, again, not surprised, but I haven't read that one yet. Story of My Life by Lucy Score. That one is a little bit surprising because although, again, have it on my TBR, I haven't really heard many people talk about it. Beg, Borrow or Steal by Sarah Adams. This one came out like right at the beginning of the year, so when I was compiling my list I didn't really think about this book because although I really enjoyed this book, I gave it 5 stars, it came out like at the beginning of the year, so I'd almost forgotten about it, but I'm glad to see it on this list. Then we have If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This came out, I think, September time, and it's definitely like an autumn romance. I have heard lots of people talking about this one, so I'm not too surprised to see it on the list, but I didn't really think of it when I was making my own. Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. Again, not surprised to see this one. I did enjoy it, but it's not my favourite from the series. One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I didn't really love this one. I think I gave it 3 stars, but again, not surprised to see it on the list because she has been on the lists in previous years. Then we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I really enjoyed this one as well, so not surprised to see it. Tourist Season by Bryn Weaver. I haven't read this one, and I also haven't heard many people talking about this one. I don't know if it's because it's still relatively new. Obviously the Butcher and Blackbird trilogy got a lot of hype. I didn't personally love that trilogy, but I am interested enough to want to check out this one. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I loved, and not surprised to see on the list. Rewind It Back by Liz Tom Ford. I haven't read any of the books in this series, so I didn't really think of this one to put on the list, but again, not too surprised to see it because I think in previous years her books might have been on this list, but as I say, I haven't read this series, so I can't comment, but I do have it on my TBR. And then Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver. I didn't realise this actually came out this year. I thought it came out at the end of 2024, if I'm being honest, so interesting to see that she's got 2 books on this list. I personally didn't love this one, but again, I know it was really popular, so really interesting to see the picks on this list. In terms of what I think will make it through to the final 10, I think Emily Henry's book will definitely be in the top 10. Elsie Silver's probably, Abby Jimenez's book, at least one of Ali Hazelwood's, possibly both of them. Anna Huang's book I think will definitely make it through. B.K. Borison's I think potentially could make it through. Maybe Lauren Asher's, and I'm not quite sure out of the other ones which ones might make it through. Laurie Gilmore's might make it through because I know that one's quite popular as well. So interested to see what. I haven't decided who I'm going to vote for either because I've read quite a few of them, and quite a few of them I've given 5 stars as well, so I'm going to have a think about who I'm going to vote for, and I will let you know. I'll probably do a follow-up video when the final rounds come out, and I'll let you know who I vote for then, because I'll need to have a think about it. Now onto the romantasy category. Now when I was compiling my list for this, I didn't have as many authors to put on my list because I'm still relatively new to the romantasy genre, so I haven't read a ton, although I have read more than I have in previous years, so my list for this is shorter, but I think there are a very good chance that most of these will be on this list. So Senlin Yu I think will be on this list with Alchemized. This book has like been super popular and was super hyped, so I think this one is definitely going to be on there. Will it win? I don't know, because again, I'm not sure outside of the romantasy and romance community how popular it is, but I think it's got a very good chance of winning. Daphne Perry's book I think will be on there, but I don't think it'll win. Sable Sorensen's book with Direbound, I think that could be on this list. Julie Soto's book I think will be on this list. Rachel Gillig's book will be on this list. Rachel Snyder's book with Metal Slinger, but I guess it depends on whether they go off like original publication date or republication date, because this was previously indie published and then was re-released this year as traditionally published, so it's whether they classify that, I don't know. And Carissa Broadbent I think will be on this list, so I'm gonna have a look now at the romantasy list to see what is on there. So let's just load it up. So we have Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, which I haven't read but do have on my TBR. Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayra. This is book 3 in a series. I haven't read any of the books in this series. One thing I do dislike about the Goodreads Choice Awards, particularly in the romantasy category and like fantasy category, is a lot of the time the nominations are like part of a series. And the problem is, if someone hasn't necessarily read all of the books in the series, but maybe they read the first book and they liked the first book, they might vote for the sequel, like even if they've not read it, because they've read the first book was good, they might not have read any of the other ones on the list, so they might vote for the sequel. And it's not really ideal, like if you're looking for book recommendations, because a third book in the series, you can't pick that up without having read the previous books. I mean, some series you can, but 9 times out of 10 you can't always pick up the third book, so it's not really the best place to find recommendations. Just as a side note, that's one of the things that does annoy me. I would prefer if it was just like first books in the series, but whatever. Then we have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. Not too surprised to see this on here, but I haven't personally read the first book, so it didn't really, again, cross my mind to think of this one. Bonds of Hercules by Jasmine Mass. I didn't like the first book, so I don't plan to continue on with this series, so again, not one that I thought of. Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport. I'm pretty sure I did have this one on my TBR, but I haven't read it yet, so don't know too much about that one. Direbound, again, not surprised to see that one. Alchemized, not surprised to see that one. Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. I've read this one, it was okay. Surprised to see it on the list actually, because I don't think it was too popular. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I will be honest, I forgot that this came out this year. I think it came out very early on in January, so I had forgotten about it. I'm not up to date with this series, I've only read the first book, so not too surprised to see it on the list. But obviously I was surprised because I didn't remember it came out this year, but I know that the series is very popular. Silver Elite by Danny Francis. This one is interesting to be on this list because I don't know if I would necessarily classify it as a romantasy book. This is more of a dystopian story with a romantic story, I guess. So I don't know if I would classify it as romantasy. Same for the next book, Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This I wouldn't classify as romantasy. I would say it's a paranormal romance, but obviously there isn't a paranormal romance category, so I guess if you were going to pick between romance or romantasy, I guess this would fit in here. The next book again is also pretty surprising, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I have just read this book and I would classify it as a cozy fantasy with a romantic subplot. I wouldn't classify it as romantasy, so I'm surprised to see it in here. I would have thought if it was going to be put anywhere, I would have put it in the romance category, but I do kind of see maybe why they put it in the romantasy, because it does obviously have witches over like contemporary romance, but I don't feel like it fully fits into this category. The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. Not surprised to see this one. I liked this one, but I didn't love it as much as the first few books in the series. Then we have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. I haven't read this book. I didn't realise this was romantasy either. I thought it was more like cozy fantasy. So again, slightly surprised to see that on this list. The Wrath of the Fallen by Amber V. Nicole. This is book 4 in a series, and I will be honest, I've not heard of this series or this author, so surprised to see it on here. I will have to definitely check out that series. If it's made it to the list, it must be somewhat popular. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, not too surprised. Rose in Chains by Julie Soto, not too surprised. Oh, On Wings of Blood. I have actually read that and I enjoyed it. Again, I'm not sure if I realised that one came out this year, but I'm glad to see that on this list. I did really enjoy it. That one, again, was also originally indie published. There's quite a few on this list, I think, that were originally indie published. So surprised that Metal Slinger is not on this list, because I think that could have fit in. Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry, and then also The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. I haven't read this one yet, but again, not too surprised to see it on this list because I know that one was super popular as well. So a very interesting mix of books. I think out of the list, I've read like a decent amount of them. There are definitely more on the romance category that I've read compared to the romantasy category. I do think that I will plan to read some more of these picks, so I can kind of balance out my vote, hopefully, and kind of see what ones I want to vote for. In the romantasy category, I think it's going to be easier because I think out of the list I've actually read less on here, and out of the ones I've read, there's only been a few of them that are 5 stars, so I think my pick for my vote on this one will be easy, but my romance vote will definitely be a lot harder because I've read a lot of the books on the list and a lot of them have been 5 stars. So as I say, let me know what your thoughts are on the Goodreads Choice Awards. I will check out the other categories, but I'll be honest, I probably have only read like a few from the other categories, so I don't plan to talk about them in a video because I can't really give a balanced point of view on those because I've not read enough of them. But I have definitely read enough of these to talk about, and I'm definitely interested to see who will win. As I say, I suspect Emily Henry will win for romance. I would love to see another book win for sure, but I don't think that is likely based on the previous like 3 or 4 years. For the romantasy category, I am really unsure who is going to win. I think Alchemized is probably the most likely, but I'm definitely can't wait to see who does win. So let me know your thoughts on the picks for the categories. Who are you voting for? Do you like the Goodreads Choice Awards? Please let me know, and I will see you guys in my next video.